Some key arms for the Red Sox are making their way back, and hopefully it's at the perfect time. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Sea Radio. My name is Corbin, and we've been talking about this Red Sox bullpen for basically a couple of months now, right? We've been talking about how it's been blowing saves, how it's been giving up a ton of runs, and a big reason for that is because of injuries to key players that have really had to make other people in this bullpen take a step forward. Just take a look at how much more secure Chris Martin alone makes this Red Sox bullpen feel. Well, he's not the only one that's coming back, and coming back pretty quickly here. There are a couple of guys making their way back to the Boston Red Sox that could have a huge impact on how this bullpen finishes this season. So what we are going to do in today's video is we're going to break down all the latest injury news for the Boston Red Sox and obviously what it means for their 2024 campaign. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so before we get into talking about the pitching and how they could be coming back, I did want to give you one non-pitching injury update, and that's actually on Trevor Story, because if you remember, last update we talked about Trevor Story possibly rejoining this Red Sox team. The fact that he was over 50% of the way through his rehab process, he was doing normal baseball activities like taking ground balls, but it still kind of felt like it was a really big long shot that he comes back at some point this season. Well, the update there is that I don't think it's really a long shot anymore. I think there is legitimate hope for those of us who do hope for Trevor Story's return in the 2024 season that he's going to end up back with this team at some point. And the reason for that is because he's taken a couple of really major steps. The first step is that he is taking batting practice again. He took batting practice starting on the 12th of August in Fenway Park, and this is a big step for a couple of reasons. One, for Trevor Story, it's a feeling of getting back out there again, right? It's a feeling of being a normal baseball player again, taking some BP before a game. But two, it also puts him in an outdoor environment, puts him in a bit of a unregulated environment, if you will. It's still pretty heavily regulated, but there's only so much you can control here, and he still did fairly decent. He put a couple of heat-seeking missiles into the monster as well as into dead center field. So it was nice to see him take BP again, and that's a big step in his rehab process, but he took an even bigger one just this Wednesday when he hit off of a high velocity machine, which for those of you who aren't super familiar with, looks a little bit like this. It's got 3 separate wheels. It can get up to 100 plus miles an hour, and it could spin the ball both from the left and the right hand side, or to simulate from the left and right hand side. And this is a big step because this is essentially one step away facing live pitching, right? If you could start hitting 100 plus mile an hour pitches, if you could start hitting some sliders, if you could start hitting some changeups, the only thing really left to do is get yourself back out there and see if you could do it against a guy with 2 runners on base and 2 outs in an inning. Next step scenario. He's to the point now where even Craig Breslow is saying he thinks he's going to rejoin this team, saying, quote, he continues to make a ton of progress, and just being around him in the clubhouse, there's a different attitude that he's taken every day. Breslow said he's excited to go in and field. Liam Hendriks is on track to return sooner, but there's a real strong chance that Trevor Story's putting on a uniform and helping us out at some point. But I do want to talk about Trevor Story coming back a little bit because I don't really know what to expect here, right? You know, at least I know there are people who've fully given up on Trevor Story ever being an impact player for the Boston Red Sox, but you cannot lie. If he is healthy and he is right, there is the potential there to be one of the highest impact bats the Boston Red Sox have. He's done it for multiple years in Colorado here. It's just a statistical answer to a question, not an opinion. But at the same time, too, can he get to that point in this short of a time period? We saw last year how at the plate he rushed himself back to join the Boston Red Sox. He never really got his timing down, and he ended up actually kind of hurting the Red Sox in the box more so than he did help. And that's my biggest fear with Story, is that he's just simply not ready enough to rejoin this Red Sox team. But I will say, if he does feel ready and the organization feels ready, yeah, I'd love to have him back. I think, again, you talk about a right-handed power bat, especially for a postseason, if they can make a postseason or the backstretch to 2024 where teams know we need to put in as many lefties as humanly possible. Getting Trevor Story's bat in there could really make a difference here. But even if it doesn't, I think being able to get a guy who's going to essentially put, say, Don Rafaela at shortstop and center field, that certainly doesn't hurt this team one bit, now does it? So at the bare minimum, I think getting his glove back onto the diamond could be something that really helps this team a lot down the stretch. And best case scenario, it's a guy who's going to totally change this lineup. I don't know. Do I want Story back? Yeah. Do I think it's possible? Yeah, I do right now. I do think it's possible he comes back. I just don't know in what capacity. If we're getting 75% Trevor Story, I'd rather he just wait until 2025. But he's not the only one who had some news this week about coming back, and the other two are much closer. So before we get into that, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just helps out a ton. It's the best way you can let me know you're enjoying the content. Thank you all very much for taking a second and doing so. Let's get into the pitching news. Okay, so in terms of pitching rehab assignments or pitching injury news, Liam Hendriks is making his way back to the Boston Red Sox. Well, he's really been making his way back this entire season, but now he's right there knocking on the door. He just finished up his second rehab appearance with the Portland Sea Dogs. He had one with the Worcester Red Sox, and they've gone pretty well so far. The first outing was perfect, no hits, no runners on base. The second one was a little bit messier, and that happened last night. It was a hit and a walk, but no runners scored, and he was sitting around 95 miles an hour on the fastball. The goal with the Red Sox for him is to make at least 7 appearances in the minor leagues before he's called back up to Major League Baseball. So now we're 2 down, 5 left to go. And there was some separation between these 2 appearances. His first appearance was on the 18th. His second appearance was on the 22nd. So that's 4 days in between. I don't think it's going to take that long to get him to 7 appearances, as that would be what? Basically an entire month down in AAA. And right now the Red Sox can't really afford to keep him down there for an entire month. So I'm assuming that as he starts to get better and starts to feel better here, he's going to end up going once every other day or once every 2 days until he hits that number 7 mark. I also wouldn't be super surprised if the Red Sox end up bringing him up a little earlier than 7 total appearances, especially with the state of their bullpen right now. If Liam Hendriks is sitting there and he's saying, look, man, I feel great. The arm feels fine. There's no fatigue. There's no soreness. There's nothing popping, nothing making a noise. I'm feeling great after my starts. And the Red Sox are looking at the metrics. They're looking at the velocity and the movement. And they're saying, yeah, everything kind of looks like Liam Hendriks looked like at the major league level. I could see them getting him up here in 4, 5 appearances in minor league baseball. But this, regardless, is a really big step for Liam Hendriks. He's finally back out onto the mound. He's finally back playing in some games. That's got to feel absolutely fantastic. The interesting thing here is, what do the Red Sox do with him when he's healthy, right? My guess is that he's probably not going to be closing games, at least right away. Kenley Jansen has been absolutely fantastic this year. I know he recently had a blow up, but outside of that, he's been pretty nails for this entire season. But at the same time, too, he is getting older, and I'm wondering if maybe they bring him back and just sort of split saves. If they are able to split saves, it does a couple of things. One, it allows for Liam Hendriks to come back here and sort of ease himself back into a closer role, right? If you're going for every other save as opposed to every save, I'd assume that would make it a little easier on you. But 2, it also makes it easier on Kenley a little bit, doesn't it? Kenley is getting older, and I'm wondering if the Red Sox are considering keeping a couple of those bullets in the chamber for when they have more important games to win. I don't know, because every game feels really important right now, but when Hendriks comes back, it does give you an option in that 9th inning. The better option, in my opinion, is to just make him that 8th inning guy. Imagine a back end of this bullpen with Chris Martin, Liam Hendriks, and Kenley Jansen. We're talking about a couple of all-stars finishing games for you, one being a potential Hall of Famer, and then Chris Martin, who got Cy Young votes last year. That's a pretty solid back end of the rotation, if you ask me. I would say that would close out a few games, and I do think that might be the way the Red Sox are leaning here. Just keep Kenley where he is, keep Kenley what he's doing. But either way, Liam Hendriks is still going to have to make his way back, and he's about 5 more appearances from getting there. I would guess we're probably a week, 10 days away from him rejoining this Red Sox team, and to be honest with you, I don't think it can come soon enough. The other injury news is on Justin Slayton, who's actually much closer to coming back than Liam Hendriks is, despite the fact that he hasn't started a rehab assignment yet. According to Chris Cotillo, he will be starting a rehab assignment, well, very soon, and very soon I mean today. He's going to be going on a rehab assignment today. It doesn't sound like this is going to be a very long rehab assignment. It sort of feels like this is going to be a very typical bullpen reliever type rehab assignment where you get one game in minor league baseball just to sort of make sure you're fully ready to go, and then boom, you're back up with the major league team. So there's a very real chance here that Justin Slayton is with the Boston Red Sox by the time this weekend concludes, which would be really interesting. I do think that there is some possibility here that they give him maybe 2 rehab appearances just because he's been off the diamond for a pretty decent amount of time now. It's been basically a month since Justin Slayton has been back with this Red Sox team. And what's interesting about Justin Slayton is I don't really know what kind of role they're going to want him in when he comes back to the Red Sox, because if you look at his statistics overall this season, it's pretty solid, right? He looks like a well above average reliever, and it felt like he was for the most part this year. But if you break it down month by month, if you take out the first month of the season, he's been a pretty well below average reliever this season. If you take out April, the rest of his ERAs are in the 4. And I do think it's interesting that his ERA still looks pretty solid despite having basically 3 months in a row with an over 4 ERA. So I don't really know what to expect here. I'm hoping that all of this time off, that having a few weeks not pitching on the mound, allows Slayton the opportunity to really get himself right in terms of health and in terms of just simply not making sure that wear and tear of an MLB season really gets to him. Because if you remember, Justin Slayton's never pitched above AA in his life, and now he's an important role on a big league club, right? There's going to be an adjustment period. There's going to be adjustments throughout the entirety of basically his whole first season here as he gets acclimated to Major League Baseball. But at the same time, too, he did get a month off. He is fully healthy now. He has probably been doing a whole lot of work to try and get himself back onto the field and make sure when he does get back onto the field that he's as effective as he possibly can be. So I don't know if we're going to see April-ish Justin Slayton, if we're going to see June or July-ish Justin Slayton, or if we're going to get something in the middle. My goal, if I'm Justin Slayton, is to hit that middle mark, right? You're probably not going to have a sub-1 ERA for the rest of the season, but if you have a mid-3s ERA for the rest of the year, you are an important piece of this Red Sox bullpen, and I absolutely think Justin Slayton is fully capable of that. But either way, what you're looking at here is a real improvement for the Red Sox bullpen. You were talking about guys who could legitimately change this bullpen up a bit. Liam Hendriks and Justin Slayton coming back could really turn this bullpen into an absolutely terrifying part of this team outside of the last 2 games. They were fantastic in the last 2 games, I will say that, into one of their bigger strengths in just a couple of weeks here. And I'm hoping it's able to come at the perfect time, because if these guys can get back and the bullpen can lock itself down, that's going to be a huge help for this Red Sox team as they try and push towards a playoff spot. But obviously, they have to get to a point where they can compete for that playoff spot first. They're still 3.5 games out of that, so hopefully they're able to make some magic happen in the next couple of days or over the next few weeks. Really, the next month. Do your best the next month. See what you could do in terms of this 3-game deficit. And Justin Slayton and Liam Hendriks are probably going to be a really big part of that. And hey, maybe we get Trevor Story helping with that as well. But until that happens, let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think? Out of the 3 of these guys, who do you think has the potential to have the biggest impact on the Red Sox? Who do you think is going to be the most important over the next couple of weeks? Let me know all your thoughts on the latest Red Sox injury news in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Don't forget, you can get these episodes always in podcast form if you want to listen instead of watch. All you got to do is head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Seats.